What's up, YouTube? It's Intellectual Money here. Today's video will be a short update on Coinbase's stock price and also potential entry points for interested investors. My first video on Coinbase was how I did not trust getting into Coinbase at the time of its IPO listing, as we were currently in the midst of a super hyped crypto bull market earlier in April. I think it was a smart move by Coinbase and their management team to IPO around that time, as there was so much hype in the crypto space, and obviously that hype would transition to their stock. However, in the short term, there was probably more risk than reward to get into Coinbase at that time, because Coinbase's revenues and how they just make money is directly tied to the price of Bitcoin and other crypto assets and how much people are trading at that time. And as we see, when we're at certain like hyped points in crypto, those are around the same time that a lot of transactions happen on Coinbase. And the more transactions, the more revenue. With all the hype in the crypto space and the amazing numbers that Coinbase was putting out, we saw an immediate spike to around $429.54 a share before seeing a slow bleed in the stock price thereafter. From the research I've done on Coinbase, I envision a very promising future for this company. However, until Coinbase's price can detach from a very volatile Bitcoin and Bitcoin's price, I would only suggest investing into Coinbase during severe dips in Bitcoin's price, as that will essentially also be most likely a good time to invest into Coinbase as well. This is the same way a lot of investors and traders treat altcoins, and it will most likely continue to do so until we see a major decoupling in these crypto-related assets and being separate from the price of Bitcoin. Like, for if Bitcoin can go down, maybe an asset related to crypto, but it's doing something completely different than Bitcoin, if it could increase while Bitcoin is down, then we'll have a different outlook on making investments into like altcoins and even a company like Coinbase. Now, when I made my first video on Coinbase, Bitcoin had just set in a local top of around $65,000 per coin. A warning sign that we had wasn't Elon Musk tweeting, as a lot of inexperienced crypto investors and traders would like to think. It was actually an indicator created by Philip Swift, and that is called the pie chart. It's an indicator that tends to go off prior to huge drops in Bitcoin's price, and it can also be used for trying to predict or trying to figure out the macro tops for Bitcoin during bull markets. In 2013, this indicator went off twice, which is when the orange line, otherwise known as the price 111 DMA, crosses above the green line, which is the price 350 DMA. Somewhere within 3 days of that cross, we tend to see a local / macro top for Bitcoin. And from there, crypto assets, anything that relates to or coincides with Bitcoin, tends to do its drop shortly thereafter or before. As we can see, even though there can be many factors for a publicly traded company like Coinbase, after Bitcoin's hype died, earlier in April, when we saw the Pi cycle cross, Coinbase has fallen drastically and has fallen from that 400 and 300 range to around $230 at the time of this recording. Be advised, as previously mentioned, the Pi cycle chart and those lines crossing does not necessarily mean doom and gloom for Bitcoin and crypto-related assets. As we've seen in 2013, after one cross, a few months later, we can see another cross. I'm not going to go into extreme detail, but from what I've looked at, there's a high chance that the cross that we saw in April with the Pi cycle was actually a false top, and we will most likely be seeing another resurgence of the bull run for Bitcoin and crypto, either later on this year or sometime next year. But here's how we can use that information to our benefit when it comes to Coinbase stock. Now, with Coinbase stock, after seeing the severe dip in Bitcoin and other cryptos, I'm going to go on record that unless we see a black swan event either in the macro economy, the crypto space, or even Coinbase as a business in the near future, that the time to buy Coinbase stock is probably coming near, if not already here. Either with dollar cost averaging, as we don't know when this dip with Bitcoin will truly end, or you could, just make one buy-in because we're roughly at a low point already. You can do that for a company like Coinbase if you believe in it, if you believe in them for the long term. And there's two simple reasons why I'm saying that. One, this is not financial advice, but I believe that Coinbase stock price will be lower during this particular dip that we're seeing now than, let's say, a future macro bear market for Bitcoin. And that is mostly because that I feel like as time goes on, there'll be more general adoption over crypto and just understanding Coinbase as a business, that it will probably be lower now than later. Two, I trust in Coinbase's business over the long term, and I believe that Wall Street will eventually understand and slowly begin to understand Coinbase as a company. I personally still need to do some more research on this company, but from what I've seen so far, it is promising. My last extra credit reason for why I believe that this particular dip in crypto will be a good buying opportunity for Coinbase over the long term, which can go way lower than we're at right now, is that a firm, investment firm that I particularly respect, ARK Invest, is actually buying in heavy during this dip. I don't invest into anything just because someone else is doing it, but the reason why I'm factoring in ARK Invest and how they are, buying the Coinbase dip right now, it's because that a lot of my investments tend to, and actually a lot of my investments and way of thinking when it comes to investing tends to line up with ARK Invest and their team. Now, I do not agree with everything that ARK Invest does and invests in, and which is what I love because I'm my own individual and I make my own decisions, as I hope you all do as well. But to see that they're loading up the boat around this time just gives me more added reinforcement on my thesis on where I believe Coinbase is valued, and I think over the long term, this will be looked at as a very undervalued time for Coinbase's stock price. To put it frankly, this video is mostly for you guys, because for me, I'm either keep my money in a cash position or buying into actual cryptocurrencies during this dip rather than cryptocurrency companies like Coinbase. Reason being is because I personally feel like in the short term, in the short to midterm, there's actually more money to be made in the actual cryptocurrency projects than Coinbase. However, obviously, Coinbase long term will be a pretty solid look in about 5 to 10 years, in my personal opinion. Maybe one day I'll get into Coinbase, but right now just isn't the right time for me personally. Alright guys, that's all I have for this one. If you enjoyed the content and just my way of thinking on Coinbase stock, or just thinking in general, please give me a subscribe. In the comment section down below, let me know what you guys think of my thesis on trying to utilize this dip to get a great long-term buy into a good company or a great company, however you see Coinbase for the long term. As always, do not forget to smash that like button like Tinder, and I'll see you guys in the next one.